Coach Corey Wayne. This is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, sorry, but it didn't mean anything. Well, I've got an email here from a guy who, he's known this particular girl he's been dating since they were like 11 years old. They're now 22 and in college. And about a month and a half ago, I did a video newsletter where I answered his first email. It was titled, True Love is Freedom. And if you're watching this on my website, there'll obviously be a link in the article body where you can link and go watch the previous video that I did about a month ago. Now, in that particular, the first email that I did of his girlfriend goes off to go skiing in Canada for I think it was like 3 or 4 months. And he acted jealous and insecure because all these guys were hitting on her while they were away. And eventually that led to them breaking up. So I told him what to do, gave him some suggestions. She comes back from the trip. They get back together. Everything is fine. And then recently she went away again and ends up, apparently like the last night that she's there, she ends up kissing some guy that's there. But she says, hey, it didn't mean anything. And so now he's thinking, should I continue dating this girl? Should I ditch her for good? Because he knows that eventually, I guess she's going to go off to college next year somewhere else, and they don't plan on staying together for that period of time. So he asked my opinion on what he should do. And this, I mean, it's a pretty common thing when people cheat or they sleep around, and it's like they throw this token, but it didn't mean anything. They didn't mean anything to me, as if that somehow makes it okay. So what we're going to look at in today's video newsletter obviously is focusing on your outcome, what you want for your personal life, and how that impacts your ability to discern who should stay in your life and who should be out of your life, who belongs in your inner circle and who belongs not only not in your inner circle, but not in your life in any way, shape, or form. So I have a quote that I wrote on this topic, and I'm going to go through his email and see what the latest update is since we last went through his email. And so the quote says, sometimes in life you just need to let people go and remove them from your inner circle once you realize that your goals and values are not aligned, or when they consistently prove that they are incapable of acting with integrity and respect in how they treat you. A true test of the quality of your relationships is how people honor their commitments to you when you are not around. It is foolish to expect that people who lack integrity will change and become honorable just because you want them to or because they say they will. When you bottom line a person's actions towards you and make your decisions based upon them exclusively, you will never again be shocked or surprised when they do not live up to your expectations or their commitments. Honorable people consistently do the right thing when no one is paying attention. Dishonest people only do the right thing when it's convenient for them. So let's go through his email. He says, hi coach, I sent you an email a month ago about my girlfriend who had returned from Canada after she had gone on a ski trip, and this led to us breaking up. You gave me great advice on loving in a way that makes a person feel free, which I have followed. Here's the latest development. My girlfriend wanted to go to an inter-university sport competition, which is run over a week-long period and has a reputation for being like schoolies as we have in Australia. Well, in America, I've never heard of that, so I don't really know what that is. Or like a spring break in America. Okay, so that makes... So in other words, people go skiing because if you think about it, when you're on that part of the hemisphere, if you're in the States, like right now, it's entering winter in the States, but like in Australia or South America, Brazil, those kinds of places, it's actually about to become summertime for them. So you can see when the rest of us in the West are sitting out on the beach, other people in like Australia in the Southern Hemisphere are skiing and doing winter things. That's what's kind of cool about traveling around the world, interacting with people around the world. It's just the seasons are completely reversed on the other end of the globe. So he says essentially everyone goes to get drunk and hook up. Yeah, it definitely sounds like spring break. I told her I did not feel comfortable as an entire week of clubbing and partying around drunk guys is not something someone in a relationship should really do. Yeah, it's like, why isn't she inviting you to come with her? Why does she feel the need to go off and go on spring break without her boyfriend? It tells you, when you look at those actions, she doesn't really behave like somebody who the relationship is important to. It's like, oh, I just want to go out and party and see what I can get. And I knew guys would be hitting on her all the time as she's very attractive. But if she really wants to go, I will support her. Because at the end of the day, if she's going to cheat, there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. All you can do is, in essence, give her enough rope to hang herself, so to speak, metaphorically. That's basically what she does. He says, the entire week I supported her. I didn't blow up her phone and only replied with positive messages when she called or texted. She told me all the guys that were hitting on her, and I acted indifferent. It did not get jealous or clingy as per your advice. Again, it's like, why you do things like this? How are they going to behave when you're not around? If you act jealous and insecure and needy, which is basically what he did the first time she went away, that led to them breaking up. So obviously that's not an approach that's going to get you success. But what he did here is he said, hey, if you really cared about us and you really cared about your relationship, you wouldn't be wanting to go hang out with a bunch of single horny people to party. But he says, I trust you and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Because that's all you can really do. If you're taking care of everything that you can take care of, then it's up to the other person to honor their end of the bargain or the commitment that you supposedly have. He says, however, she admitted to me on the last night that she hooked up with another guy. Not sex, just a hookup. Well, hooking up in my book is having sex. And sometimes I have to, when I'm talking to people, there's like, oh yeah, I hooked up with her. I was like, did you had sex? Or it was like, well, no, we hung out. I was like, that's not hooking up, dude. You were hanging out with her as a friend. He says she was even sober at the time. So obviously her faculties were not impaired, but yet she still kisses another guy. So obviously she knew it wasn't right what she was doing. So what does that tell you about how she thinks about your relationship? Doesn't mean shit to her. Doesn't matter that you've known each other since you're 10 or 11 years old, half your lives basically. After knowing each other half your lives and dating for most of your lives, that's how she treats you? Wow, what a great person to have in your personal life. She said she was sorry. Yeah, I'm sure she is. The word sorry that comes out of her mouth really is just, it's just a platitude. It's like a politician that utters a talking point. They don't fucking mean it. They're just saying what they think they need to say in order to get what they want. She said she was sorry and that it didn't mean anything. But now I feel like I cannot trust her. Guess what? You cannot trust her, dude. She's not trustworthy. And that tells you all you need to know. This girl, as long as you've known her, and obviously you can't help but be emotionally attached when you've known each other since you, in essence, were little kids together. But it's why you focus on, what's your outcome? What do you want? Do you want somebody to have an exclusive monogamous relationship with? If that's the case, if that's your outcome, this girl ain't it. She's a fuck buddy. She's a friends with benefit, a sex playmate. Because again, on 2 occasions here, this woman has shown you that loyalty, commitment, even if you got married to her, doesn't mean shit to her. I mean, half your life you've been in each other's lives, and this is how she's away for a matter of a few days, and she's kissing some other guy, and she's totally sober when she does it. She's out of there if you're looking for a girlfriend. But if it's an open relationship, then whatever, it doesn't matter. You can be doing the same thing. He says, we had decided that we would split when she went back to Canada, but wanted to remain exclusive until she left so that the distance from each other in different social circles would make it easier. So in other words, she wants you to be exclusive, but she obviously has zero intention of honoring that. Because as soon as they broke up when she was on that previous trip, she went and promptly started fucking some other guy. He says, however, she violated that agreement, and now I don't know what to do, as we have an overseas holiday we planned before she left, and now I don't know if I should be going with her anymore. Well, the point being is she's not loyal. Commitments don't mean anything. She's not girlfriend material. She's not relationship material if you're interested in being exclusive. If you're still interested in keeping her around as a fuck buddy or a sex playmate or a friend's benefits, then whatever. Take her with you. But keep in mind, when you're not around this girl, she's going to be fucking somebody else or trying to see who else she can hook up with. People that behave this way tend to be narcissistic. They tend to be insecure. They tend to be selfish. They tend to have no empathy for other people, so they really don't give a fuck and how they hurt your feelings. And even when they say they're bad or they say, sorry, it didn't mean anything, it's just a platitude because all they really want is for you to keep doing what they want. It's obvious to me now that we have to break up when she goes back to Canada because, dude, you're not really together. You don't really have a committed relationship because she has shown on multiple occasions that commitment doesn't mean anything. So even though you're being exclusive and being faithful to her, she's not being faithful to you, even though she says she wants to, even though she says it's important to her. It's obviously not important to her. So it doesn't matter what bullshit comes out her mouth. If she can't go a week without hooking up with another guy, she will never go 5 months. Spot on. That's totally a true statement. If she truly wanted to be in a relationship with me, I could forgive a kiss. You should never forgive something like that, dude. It's indicative of her integrity, and she has zero. It doesn't matter if you've known her for half your life. That's the nature of the creature that you're dealing with. And trying to change her or hoping that she's going to change or next time around she won't be that way, it's just delusional to think like that. And I talk to men and women all the time that are in these kinds of situations and they hoping that eventually it'll get better, but it just never does because of the nature of the person that they're with. But she has made it clear that she wants to be single when she goes overseas again and then wants to get back together with me later in life, possibly for marriage. Absolutely. Survey says no way in hell. Marriage is out of the fucking question with this woman. Unless you're going to have an open marriage. Unless fucking other people is okay. Because this woman is going to continue to be this way even 20 years from now. People will become a better version of themselves, but they don't change who they are. If she's cheating now at 20 years old when you've known her half your life, even 20 years from now, she'll still cheat if the opportunity arises. She might not cheat as much, but that's just the way she is. And for you to think that she could ever be a good wife if exclusivity is important to you, you're totally fucking deluding yourself, dude. It's just the way she is. It's not your job to fix her. You either accept her the way she is and have a relationship that's appropriate to her integrity level, which is not very high, or you move on and you date somebody else. And I definitely would make sure you practice safe sex with somebody like this. Remember from my last email, we have been together for 5 years since grade 11, and she is at a stage where she feels she needs to experience life outside of our relationship and recommence it at a point in time where she is more ready for marriage. Absolutely, there is no way, if I were you, that I would entertain marriage or being exclusive with this woman, because it doesn't matter. And you can tell her that. You can say, I love you, I care about you, we've been in each other's lives half our lives, but loyalty and commitments don't mean shit to you. So we can have an open relationship, we can be fuck buddies, but I'm never going to entertain marrying you because you won't be faithful to me. You've already proven to me. I mean, after all these years we've known each other, this is how you treat me? It's just not going to happen, honey. Sorry. Oh, but I can change. No, you can't. It's just the way you are. And I don't believe you. You've already destroyed the trust that we had. I'll never trust you again. I know what I'm dealing with. I know I'm dealing with somebody who's a liar, somebody who's dishonest, and somebody who's unfaithful. And a commitment doesn't mean shit to you. Being loyal doesn't mean shit to you. That's the way it is. And I'd be foolish and delusional to think otherwise. And quite frankly, I'm not interested in listening to your excuses because quite frankly, it's fucking bullshit. But we can have a lot of fun until you go away to school. But at this point, I'm going to date other women and I'm going to look for somebody to settle down and have a great relationship with because You're not capable of that. But hey, we can be friends with benefits. We can casually hook up. But from now on, we're practicing safe sex because I'm never going to trust you again. You don't deserve it, and you haven't earned it, and you constantly violated my trust, and I'm sorry. I can forgive you, but I can't forget about it. Do I break things off now and say, you clearly do not respect my wishes or this relationship and cancel the holiday? Or do I forgive the kiss because she said she was very sorry, stick to the original plan and split up when she goes back to Canada? Dude, here's a hint. You're not together. You may think you're together and you may be honoring your side of the bargain, but she's not. But if you still want to continue to hang out, have fun, and hook up, go for it. My job as a coach is not to make your decisions. I'm not interested in being your mommy or your daddy. I'm all about teaching you self-reliance. My goal is to give you the skills, the strategies, and the techniques so you can make an informed decision. So your girlfriend is a liar and a cheater, and she's dishonest, and she's incapable of being faithful. Therefore, you should proceed and interact with her only in a way with that understanding that she's going to sleep around. That's just the way it is. If you want to go on vacation and hang out, have fun, and hook up. And then when she goes off to college, whatever. But if I were you, I'd be dating and looking to have fun with as many women as you can find when you're not around her, because she's not going to honor the commitment. And no matter how much she begs or pleads or cries or promises that it'll be different, bullshit. That's just the way she is. I had a buddy of mine that I grew up with, went to high school with. A lot of fun. But I remember one time when we were like 19, 20. He picked me up at my house. We drove. We went to this really cool place that we all used to hang out with, and we could drink underage because we knew the people that owned it. And we both were drinking a bunch, and he ran into a girl that he knew, and he just fucking ditched me. He's like walking to his car, and he's got a two-seater. He had like a Nissan, what was it, a 280 or 280ZX or whatever the hell it was. And he's like laughing, he's kissing, making out with this girl. I'm like, dude, you drove here. But he just kind of looks at me like he couldn't give two shits. He hopped in his car and fucking left. And so, I knew other people at the place, and I got a ride home, and I was thinking, what a dick move. And this was the same guy 10 years later who I lent my Lotus. He was the best man at my wedding. I let him drive my Lotus Esprit. Literally, we went down there to Palm Beach Motor Cars, bought this thing, drove it back to Orlando. I drove it to work for the first day that I had, and the second day, because we were roommates at the time, we were living together. This was after I had gotten divorced. And so he's like, let me take it to work. I was like, sure. So I let him take my car, and like literally not even an hour and a half later, he calls me. He's like, dude, I wrecked your car. I'm thinking, dude, it's not even fucking funny. Cut that shit. He's like, no, I'm serious. I was like, you wrecked my car? I mean, an hour after you had it, you've already wrecked it. And so what happened was he sold real estate, and he sold new homes. And one of the guys he was trying to impress or whatever, there was a buddy of his. They hopped in the car, and so he's like hot rodding it all over the neighborhood. And there was sand on the road, and those cars, the engine was in the back, so they were very ass heavy. And so as he was driving around the corner, going too fast, there was sand on the road. The back end of the car just spun around, and he hit a concrete light pole, and the light pole snapped. But luckily, it fell away from the car instead of on top of it, because if that light pole would have fallen on top of the car, it would have crushed both of them and killed them both. And it caused I think it was like $20,000 worth of damage to this car. And the thing is that the factory closed down for a month at a time because it was in the UK. So we had to wait a whole month to get parts. And keep in mind, I drove this car for one fucking day. And on top of that, I think I sent it back to the dealer like 3 or 4 times. I got the car back like 4 months later. Drove it around for a week or two, still had problems, sent it back to them. It was like they were flatbedding it back and forth, and the car just never ran right after that, and it just really fucking pissed me off. There were just women I dated he would hit on. It's just like, he was just a fucking dick. And that's just the way he was. And even my parents saw that when I was a teenager. They didn't like me hanging out with him because they could tell right away he just was not an honorable person. He wasn't a good guy to have as a friend. He'd take advantage of me. I remember I lent him money when we were in our early 20s to help him get a place down at South Beach. He was doing male modeling, for a very successful agency. He'd make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, but he was always pissing his money away. He was doing drugs and other things, and he ended up giving me his motorcycle, which I had to sell to get my fucking money back that I paid him. It was just dick as shit like that, and I put up with that. And as I got older, I was just like, I finally cut him out of my life. He even came to work for my business partner and I when we were in real estate. And then he left on bad terms, talked all kinds of shit. I'm thinking, this guy was the best man at my wedding, and this is how you repay me? But that's just the way he was. And I eventually accepted that that's the reality, and that, even if we were friends to this day, that's the kind of, that's why he's not in my life anymore. I don't talk to him anymore. And, these are the kind of life lessons that you learn. You just can't change. What's the old saying? It's like the scorpion and the frog analogy. The frog's swimming in the water, the scorpion comes up, he's like, hey man, let me hop on your back and take me across the lake so I can get to the other side. The frog's like, dude, you're a scorpion. If I take you, you're going to sting me. And the scorpion says, now, if I hop on your back and I sting you, you're going to get paralyzed, and then we're both going to drown and die. And the frog goes, okay, that makes sense. So the frog says, all right, hop on. The scorpion hops on his back, doing the breaststroke across the little pond. They get about halfway in the middle, and zzz, the scorpion stings the shit out of the frog in his back. He's thinking, why did you do that? It's like, now we're both going to die. And the scorpion goes, hey man, I'm a scorpion. It's just what I do. That's the way it is. I mean, it's a metaphor for life. And like this particular girl, it's just the way she is. She's a fuck buddy. And she'll always be that way. She'll always it doesn't mean anything to her. She doesn't value it. And even 20 years from now, she may be more faithful to her future boyfriends or even husbands if she gets married. But at the end of the day, when the opportunity presents itself, if she's not happy, she doesn't feel any remorse for it. So she's going to go and she's going to screw around. And this girl's going to struggle throughout her life in her relationships because she knows the right thing to do is to be faithful, but she's not capable of it because, quite frankly, it doesn't mean anything to her. And that's just the way it is. You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.